Well, hello, sports fans, and welcome to Upon Further Review, a Monday Night Football webcast brought to you by There It Is Productions and Inside Sports. I'm Jake Stevens. Normally I'm joined by Charles E. Smith Jr., but he has tonight off. What a night it's going to be. We've got the Rams at the Giants, both teams hungry for a victory, both teams hoping to stick around. Yes, stick around in a playoff race in the NFC, which is going to get hotly contested as this season goes along. Neither team can fall behind 0-2. You fall down 0-2, you generally do not make the playoffs. Well, it is an absolute thrill to be with you and on the air tonight as we come to you live from Soup Sports Grill in Woodland Hills, California, just on Ventura Boulevard between DeSoto and Canoga. So if you're in the area, come on down and enjoy the Monday Night Football, the happy hour specials, and everything that they have here to offer at Soup Sports Grill. So it was another exciting, crazy, wild week in the NFL. And last night was a huge game for the Atlanta Falcons playing at home. And for Matt Ryan, who frankly has been on the hot seat in big games. Matt Ryan failed to deliver last week against Chicago. And of course, we all know about the flameout in the home playoff game against the Green Bay Packers, where Matt Ryan at the end of the first half imploded and the Falcons went home for the season and the Packers went on to win the Super Bowl. So it was a real big game for Matt Ryan. And oh, by the way, a little bit of a deal with Michael Vick returning to Atlanta for this primetime game as the starting quarterback of the Eagles. And Michael Vick, well, he did what Michael Vick generally does. He looked good at times, he looked unbelievably creative at times, and he looked awful at times, loose with the football, getting himself in trouble, and as it turns out, getting knocked out of the game by his own teammate when he smashed into his lineman face first and looked like it kind of knocked him loopy. So Michael Vick had a good night, not a great night, ended up having a short night, and who knows how long he'll be out for, if at all. Mike Kafka came in, and it looked like he might lead his team to victory, but lo and behold, Matt Ryan decided, you know what, it's time for me to step up in a big game, and Matt Ryan did that. Matt Ryan throwing 4 touchdown passes, leading big drives in the fourth quarter. Helped, of course, by Michael Turner, who had some big runs, punched in a touchdown late, and then the Eagles trying desperately to come back. Jeremy Maclin, who had a terrific night at wide receiver. Yeah, but he dropped the ball on fourth down. That would have kept the game going. But I want to stick with Matt Ryan, who had an unbelievable evening. Matt Ryan didn't throw for a whole lot of yards. He had some short fields to work with. He had some opportunities where he could stick it in the end zone, and he did. Good catches by Tony Gonzalez a couple of times. Got some help from his blockers. Got some big moments. And he got it done. And he got it done at home. And he got it done on the big stage. And yeah, it's a huge game. Last week I bashed Matt Ryan. And we wondered if Matty Ice would melt again under the pressure. But this time he didn't. Although it looked like he was going to for much of the game. But when it came down to the fourth quarter, he delivered. Time and again, good throws, on-target throws, finding the open receivers, finding the outlets, and getting it done, very well done by Matt Ryan. I'm not going to say that the Falcons needed to save their season last night, but it was a huge game for them. They do not want to fall behind the Saints by a couple of games. They did not want to fall out of the playoff contention by a couple of games. They needed to get themselves a big victory. They needed Matt Ryan to have a signature victory at home last night, and they got it. Some other of the big games that went on. Tom Brady, yeah, Tom Brady's pretty good. We all know that. But what Tom Brady did yesterday to back up what he did on Monday Night Football was just sick. That's because Tom Brady is on pace now to throw for like 7,500 yards in a season. That's obscene. It's not going to happen. But it is pretty funny, and it is pretty impressive. Tom Brady is fantastic, and he looks like he's finally all the way back. Of course, we thought that last season, then in the playoff game against the Jets, and you know I love them, Tom Brady frankly looked human, and sometimes looked a bit skittish in the pocket. But he's looked very calm, cool, and collected so far this season. He's been delivering the ball on time, finding receivers as he always does, spreading the opportunities out. But I tell you what, Tom Brady is getting it done in a big way because he has that two-headed tight end monster, which is going to be a little short with one guy because Aaron Hernandez got a bit nicked up and it looks like he might miss some time. But Aaron Hernandez and Rob Gronkowski are an absolutely fantastic combination of tight end. They're big. They're strong. They have great hands. They run like deer. For tight ends, they run like deer. It is phenomenal how good these guys are. And Tom Brady, he went to the University of Michigan. I love him for that as well. Michigan guys aren't stupid. They know a good thing when they see it. And Tom Brady delivers time and time again. Hernandez an early touchdown yesterday. Then Gronkowski not one, but two. And the Patriots are looking like a team that will be headed to the AFC Championship game, if not beyond, provided their defense comes around. It's still a bit spotty. Albert Hainsworth hasn't done a whole lot in the middle of the field. Their cornerbacks, sometimes yes, sometimes no. They still have some issues, but it's a long season, and the defense will come around. And if the offense continues at this pace, my goodness, they are going to be an absolute load to try to handle in the postseason, because they're getting there unless Brady goes down. Now, another team that had another big game, the Green Bay Packers. Although we saw a little bit of a flaw with Green Bay in their game, the Packers took care of the Panthers eventually. Aaron Rodgers was good again. Greg Jennings had a nice big touchdown catch when he was all alone. Starks, a nice day at running back. They got another good game out of Jermichael Finley, who looks pretty healthy. But the defense was suspect. And it was suspect again like it was last year against the mobile quarterback. Now, I'm not going to say that they are good against your standard quarterback, but not good against the mobile quarterback, because frankly, they struggled against Drew Brees in the opener. But Drew Brees is a phenomenal quarterback as well. But what I've seen last year against Michael Vick, yesterday against Cam Newton, like most teams, they really struggle to cover a mobile quarterback who can also throw the ball okay. And let's make no mistake, Cam Newton is throwing the ball better than okay. Cam Newton is playing at a phenomenal level. If it wasn't for that Brady guy, Cam Newton would lead the NFL as a rookie in his first 2 NFL starts with short training camp after the lockout with over 800 yards passing. He's thrown for 4 Bills twice in 2 games. This is something absolutely amazing. I didn't think he'd be that good in the pros. I'm going to say it right here, right now. I was 100% flat out wrong. Cam Newton is already a beast. And yeah, he's had some red zone problems. Guys will have red zone problems. It's something he'll learn as he gets more familiar with all the offense, as he gets more familiar with the fact that he can't just take off and run, because there are other guys in the NFL, unlike college, that are as big and as strong and as fast as he is. I know it's a shocker, Cam. I know it's a shocker. But some of these guys can run you down and take you down. They don't just fall off of you. They don't just slide to the side as you churn forward like they did in college. These big NFL guys, they pack a wallop. But Cam Newton is seriously the real deal. He is phenomenal. Yes, there are going to be growing pains. And yes, coaches will learn how to box him in a little bit more, take away some of his weapons, and take away some of the ability that he has with his feet. But I'll tell you right now, Cam Newton is a star already, and Cam Newton has only played 2 games in the NFL and has over 800 passing yards. And his team has been very, very competitive, much more competitive than I think anybody thought they would. If their defense was anywhere decent, that team might be 2-0 right now and looking seriously like a contender. I don't know how you say that about a rookie QB, but you do with Cam Newton. You really do. All right, other games on the docket. The New Orleans Saints. I mentioned Drew Brees. He carved up Green Bay, couldn't quite overcome his lousy defense. Well, the defense played okay yesterday against Jay Cutler. Drew Brees did the carving again. I'm going to nickname him the Carver, because that's what he does. He just slices and dices and tears these guys up, and it's unreal how often that he can do that. Drew Brees going through them, going over the top of them. Without Marcus Colston, he said, that's okay. I've got Devery Henderson. I've got Lance Moore. I've got tight ends. I've got running backs. And guess what? That running back tandem, Pierre Thomas, a nice game. Mark Ingram showed a little bit of what he had at Alabama and looked pretty good in this outing. That team is formidable offensively. They get the defense set. Even if it's acceptable on defense, even if they get a stop, say, once every 4 drives, that team is going to be awfully tough to stop. They got themselves in the win column, and Drew Brees looks absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely fantastic, Drew Brees, once again. Now, other games that went on. I have to say this. I love the fact that my Jets Jets are now 2-0. But they had to beat the Jaguars yesterday, a team that stinks. And they did, which is good, because the last couple of years, though the Jets have played well in the playoffs, they really haven't taken care of business at home against some of the lesser teams. They've been pretty lousy, as a matter of fact. But this time around, the Jets came through early, played great defense, stuffed the Jaguars, had Luke McCown throwing interceptions all over the field, and they came out of it with an easy victory. Unfortunately, they lost Nick Mangold, their center, for at least a couple of weeks, and that will be a huge issue. That will be a huge loss for the Jets. You don't lose your center and just go on like nothing happened. Your center in the NFL, in football, I'd argue, is as important, if not more important, than your quarterback. The center makes the line checks. The center makes sure that everybody knows their assignments. The center is monitoring everything going on with the defense. Plus, he's got to snap the ball properly. He's got to slide his protections. He generally doesn't get help like an offensive tackle could get, because there's no running back that comes in chips behind the center like a guy might chip on a defensive end on the outside. The center is the absolute key to the offensive line, which is the absolute key to a quarterback being able to stand back there and throw. When Tom Brady doesn't have time, when Peyton Manning doesn't have time, when Drew Brees doesn't have time, they're not very good. Well, Nick Mangold is the key for the Jets, and Mark Sanchez in the running game with Sean Green. And now he's out for a couple of weeks. We'll see how that plays itself out. The Jets are in good position, but it's going to be a concern for the next couple of weeks. Now, I hate it when I have to take back a statement. But last week on our early show, before the Monday night doubleheader, I said the Ravens, not just because they beat the Steelers, but because of how they did it, looked like they were going to be a team that was going to go deep in the playoffs this year, and they still may. But I said it was the team that we were waiting for all last year when they were a sexy pick to go to the championship game or the Super Bowl, and it didn't happen. But they blast the Steelers, they blow their doors off, they go into Tennessee, and they look like the Ravens of old. They play a lousy game, no emotion, nothing inspired, lousy on offense. Joe Flacco plays terribly. The defense is shredded by Matt Hasselbeck. Yes, Matt Hasselbeck. He of Seattle Seahawk fame. Matt Hasselbeck shredded them. Kenny Britt torched them. They got drilled by Tennessee, and that tells me something. The Ravens need to go right back to the drawing board, and I need to go right back to saying that the Ravens aren't ready. I thought they were. I was sure they were. But apparently they're not, because they did not get it done last night. They didn't get it done on the field. They were embarrassing offensively and defensively. The whole package, they weren't very good. And that obviously is a major problem for the Baltimore Ravens. I thought they were ready. I was sure they were ready. I said they were ready. Call it the Jake's Jinx if you want to. That's what we used to say on my radio show. Say it as you will. But they regressed big time. They reverted to the old Ravens. Instead of taking care of business, they lost one. And it kind of is funny that we talk about that just after the Jets, because that's what the Jets would do previously. The Jets might beat New England, but then absolutely blow a game to the Miami Dolphins. That's what the Jets are known for. That's what the Ravens did yesterday. And frankly, it wasn't a very good sight for anybody who likes the Ravens, or for those of us who opened up our big fat mouths, oh yeah, and now we have to shut them. Now, there was one game that was absolutely phenomenal yesterday, an unbelievable comeback. Tony Romo gets knocked out of the game after Dallas had a bit of a slow start. They trail the 49ers. They go into the fourth quarter. Romo, we weren't sure what was wrong with him. Was it a shoulder? Was it a leg injury? There were all sorts of conflicting reports. Turns out the guy had a busted rib and a punctured lung and came back into play. And not only came back into play, led his team to a touchdown, then led them to a tying field goal on the last play of the game in regulation, and then first play in overtime threw a beautiful pass down the middle, and his receiver took it down to the one, and they kicked the winning field goal on the next play. That is the way that you erase all the bad talk about how you can't finish, Tony Romo. That's the way you come back from a Sunday night fourth quarter debacle against the Jets where you gave the game away. That's how you show how tough you are, playing with a busted rib and a punctured lung and pull off a phenomenal comeback. That was absolutely unbelievably impressive by Tony Romo. Though, whether he'll play or not this coming week, who knows? And his pal Miles Austin also got banged up, and he might be out. So more troubles ahead for the Cowboys, though they even the record at 1-1. But forget all that. Forget where they might go next week. Forget what's next up on the schedule. Dallas fans, bask in the glow of an absolutely unbelievable victory, an incredible performance by your quarterback. I don't care who was playing defense. I don't care who was out there catching passes. I don't care who was rushing. I don't care who was not hitting him. Doesn't matter. What he did was unbelievable. Tony Romo, you earned my respect on Sunday. You better have earned the Dallas Cowboys fans' respect, and I think respect around the league. And you did a huge job of showing the grit and the toughness and performing effectively. And I'd say saving the Cowboys season. Because if you go out injured and your team loses to the 49ers, I don't think you're coming back from that. I think it just snowballs like last year after you got hurt. I think it becomes a complete and utter disaster. But it didn't. Great job, Tony Romo, saving the Cowboys season with a busted rib and a punctured lung. That is absolutely phenomenal. All right, we're going to take a little bit of a break here. Going to come back and talk about what's going on with the Giants and the Rams. We'll preview that one. We'll get you set for the Monday Night Football game. And I'll also tell you about what happened to me in the Los Angeles area yesterday that had me gnashing my teeth, and it had nothing to do with the football team I was rooting for. It had to do with the NFL in general and what they took from me in a big moment. This is Upon Further Review. I'm Jake Stevens. Stick around. We're coming right back. Welcome back to Upon Further Review, a production of Inside Sports. I'm Jake Stevens, coming to you live from Woodland Hills, California, on Ventura Boulevard between DeSoto and Canoga. If you're not already here and you want to come enjoy the Monday Night Football game, come on down to Soup Sports Grill, a great place where you can enjoy great food, great drinks, a whole lot of fun, and a lot of great people here at Soup's Sports Grill. Well, we're talking about Monday Night Football, getting you ready for the Rams and the Giants. But before we get to that, let me just tell you a little story about what happened yesterday. And for those of you who are old enough to understand and know about the Heidi game between the Jets and the Raiders, well, the NFL pulled another fast one yesterday. For those who are Raiders fans, yep, you got dinged again. Here's what happened. The Bills and the Raiders game was on CBS yesterday, and the game was going down to the wire. The Raiders had already blown a 21-3 halftime lead, and they were in trouble. And the Bills were driving and scored a touchdown. But the Raiders came back and put themselves ahead one more time, up 35-31. So the Bills got the football back, and the Bills started driving. And as they started driving, we were approaching 4:15. And we were approaching the time when the NFL contractually is obligated to go to another game. That's right. Instead of being able to watch the end of this exciting Oakland-Buffalo game, where anybody who had been watching the whole time was riveted to the drama of a back-and-forth game that had about 30 seconds left to play and a team in scoring position. But no, the San Diego Chargers and the New England Patriots were getting ready to kick off, so we had to, by contract, go to that game. Those of us who were in the LA area, specifically in the San Fernando Valley, apparently we have to watch the San Diego Chargers. And so they took us away from the game on 3rd down and goal with about 20 seconds left. The Bills trying to score. And the first thing they did was send us to commercial, because that's what pays the bills for the NFL. So what happened? Well, I don't know. I had to get a phone call from a friend and a text message from another friend and find out that the Bills then threw a touchdown pass. And lo and behold, the Raiders got to midfield, threw a Hail Mary, and it was intercepted. There was a tug of war, a fight for the ball, a 10-minute delay before the officials officially said, upon further review, that's right, they used the name of our show, they said the ruling on the field stands, it was an interception, and the Bills had won. Thank you so much, CBS. I never would have wanted to watch that. I mean, it was an exciting game throughout, but really, 30 seconds with the game close and somebody knocking on the door, why would we want to watch that? Much better take me to a commercial and then the opening kickoff of a game that has nothing going on yet. Because clearly, that would be much more interesting to any football fan alive. I know, diehards of the Chargers, are there any? I mean, they're always talking about the team being moved out of San Diego, and it might be the team that comes to LA. Do they really have fans who would have been so unbelievably crazed that they missed the announcers talking before the opening kickoff? Did we really have to go to commercial in between the games? Couldn't they have just kept us on it? How about a double box? How about a split screen? How about something that allows us to see it? And here's where I come down on this as being worse than the Heidi game. See, that game happened way back in the 60s. That game happened where television wasn't what it was like now. And so, because so many people called the station that day, they couldn't switch from one thing to another. They had to go directly to Heidi. A message couldn't get through to say, hey, let's stick with the game. It's ending and it's going to be exciting. This time around, they could have done all that. The mechanisms exist in modern technology and modern broadcasts, but they didn't, because they have these stupid rules like a contractual agreement between the NFL to take us away. It's like the rules that don't let you broadcast the game in the local market if it's not a sellout. It's like so many other rules the way the NFL handles its business. It's terrible, it's awful, and they cost me the ability to watch a great ending to an exciting game. Yeah, do I care about the two teams in general? No. Do I want to see a great ending to a wild football game? Yes. And I don't want to see it afterwards on a highlight package. I want to see it when it's happening, and the NFL took that away from me. And frankly, as you can tell, I'm not happy about it. They got me fired up, and I'm mad. There's nothing I can do about it now, but believe me, I'm expressing my opinion here, there, and everywhere. If you go to thereitisjake.com, you can see it in my blog. I've been posting about it on Facebook. It's been a little bit of everywhere. The NFL, once again, does something absolutely unbelievably stupid to screw their fans in the process. Why do you want to hurt the people who pay for your product? I'll never understand, but that is what the NFL does on a regular basis. All right, let's switch gears one more time and get you set for Monday Night Football. It is the St. Louis Rams playing at the New York Giants. Two teams seemingly are going in different directions. The St. Louis Rams are on the rise. Sam Bradford had a terrific rookie year. Granted, he was no Cam Newton last year, but Sam Bradford was pretty good. Steven Jackson, their star running back, touchdown on his first carry last week, and then he got hurt. But that's where they signed guys like Cadillac Williams. He'll be the starter tonight, and he can run. And their receivers, well, they lost Danny Amendola, their best wide receiver, but they've got other guys who are going to try to step in. Gibson, other guys that maybe can catch the ball, have to step up. We'll see if they do. They need to, because with Amendola out, they've got problems at wide receiver. And they're not a high-flying, prolific offense to begin with yet. But they need to be able to take advantage tonight, because the New York Giants, well, that team has no secondary and pretty much no linebackers. And if Justin Tuck isn't able to play, not too many great linemen either. They've had so many injuries you would not believe. And no, I don't feel sorry for the New York Giants. I don't feel sorry for any football team. You have injuries, it's part of the game. But I can tell you this, it's awful tough to defend when you don't have any cornerbacks and you don't have any linebackers and you're not getting a pass rush. You know how I know that? Because I've watched that for the last couple of years with the University of Michigan. They don't have any of that. and teams just torch them and go up and down the field. Now, the Redskins gave them a break last week by not attempting to go up and down the field too often. They still waxed the Giants by a couple of scores. I don't see the Rams being able to push the Giants around. In fact, I expect the Giants to win this game, and I'll tell you why. Eli Manning, no, he's not in the class with Tom Brady, no matter how much he wants to think he is. But Eli Manning is a good quarterback. Eli Manning has won a Super Bowl for a reason. Oh yeah, he beat Tom Brady's Patriots in that game. But Eli Manning is a good quarterback, has good wide receivers. If Akeem Nicks is able to play, he's a stud. Mario Manningham, he's a good receiver. They've got guys who can catch the ball. Running backs, yes. Talking Brandon Jacobs, yeah, he's the backup now to Ahmad Bradshaw, who, when he holds on to the football, is also an outstanding running back. Their offensive line is dinged up as well, but they should be able to move the ball against the Rams. They should be able to score points. They're going to need to. The Giants are going to have to outscore other teams all season long if they're going to win ball games, with the way their defense is so depleted. I don't care how much depth you have. You can't lose 3 or 4 defensive backs, 3 or 4 linebackers. You just can't account for that. There's no way that your talent level is good enough to be able to handle that. So that's going to be a problem for them all season long, but I do like them to win tonight. I do see them playing at home and getting the victory. If it was on the road, I'm not so sure. And I'll tell you what else. They've got to get pressure on Sam Bradford, because if they don't, he will pick them apart, even with mediocre receivers, and make this a shootout. I expect it to be high scoring. I expect the Giants to come out on top. That's what's going to happen in the Monday Night Football game tonight. Now, a couple other things to mention before we leave you. Go to the broadcast, and then come on back at the end of the game. We'll do a half-hour recap and get you set for the following week of games. We'll take a look at the slate, see what's going on, and do a little bit of a preview. The Buffalo Bills, ladies and gentlemen, are 2-0, and they're the highest-scoring team in the NFL. Yes, that is not a typo, a misprint. I'm not misspeaking. The Buffalo Bills, with 79 points in 2 games, are the highest-scoring team in the National Football League. Number 2 are the Detroit Lions. They've scored 75. Those two franchises, well, the Bills haven't had a winning season since 2004, and the Lions haven't had a winning season since the year 2000. Thank you, Matt Miller. I don't expect that the Buffalo Bills will maintain the pace they're on. I do think they'll be competitive, and they might eke out a winning season, but let's not kid ourselves. They played the Kansas City Chiefs and the Oakland Raiders in back-to-back games. The Chiefs are a disaster and may very well go 0-16 with all their injuries. And the Raiders, well, they're the Raiders. The offense is pretty good, the defense is suspect, and they never seem to put things together and keep things together. Up 21-3 the other day. They should have closed the deal and been 2-0, but they're not. The Detroit Lions, however, I was touting them last year on my radio show mid-season. I said nobody wants to play them down the stretch, and next year they're going to make the playoffs. I'm standing by that pick. Matthew Stafford and Megatron, Calvin Johnson, are an unbelievable combination. I'd argue right now the best combination in the NFL. And Javid Best is a pretty good running back and fits with their offense. And then that dominant defensive line helps cover up some of the mess in the backfield of their defense, including the linebackers. They're going to be a playoff team. That team will continue to score gobs of points if Stafford stays healthy, which is a big if, and if Best stays healthy, which is a big if, and if Calvin Johnson stays healthy, which is a big if, because all 3 of them have had serious injuries. But I still pick that team. I don't know that they beat out the Packers for the division, but they'll win a wild card spot if those guys stay healthy. They're an exciting team. They're a fun team. I can't wait to watch the next game for that team. All right, we're going to send you to the opening kickoff. I'm sure you have your TVs on. If not, tune it in for the ESPN Monday Night Football game, and then come on back once the game ends, put everything away, take a breath, and after the Giants beat the Rams, come on back for a half-hour post-game show. This has been a production of Inside Sports. This is Upon Further Review. I'm Jake Stevens, and we'll see you in a few hours.